So, as most of us probably know, Game of Thrones is coming into its final season. It's coming to a close. Now, there are potential spin-offs or movies or other shit like that, but the main series is coming to an end, and Netflix and Amazon are just salivating at this opportunity to create their own big fantasy-styled universe and grasp onto some of the viewership that will be fleeing and looking for new Game of Thrones-like content in some way. Now, I made a video recently discussing the Witcher Netflix series and an update on that, and now I want to make a video discussing the Lord of the Rings television series that is happening from Amazon. This is their grasp at that Game of Thrones audience per se. And the reason I'm saying that is because both of these television shows have been kind of open with that fact, and on top of that, they are happening right after Game of Thrones ends. Notice how they haven't been in the works forever. To compete with Game of Thrones, they want to come in and slide in and grab that audience. Now, on to the Lord of the Rings television series that is going to be happening. Amazon is working on this. This is an Amazon created, produced series, so this is expected to be in some form a prequel to the Lord of the Rings movies, to the trilogy that goes on there. This is supposed to be before that. Now, when before that, we don't know. And does it even matter that it's before that? I'm not sure. So like, if it's 10 years before the Lord of the Rings, which I'm just making up hypotheticals, then you're directly going to see a build-up to the Lord of the Rings. But if it's 10,000 years before the Lord of the Rings, then it doesn't matter. That you'll have slight possible hints and throwbacks and calls to the Lord of the Rings, but you're not going to see like a build-up into what happens in the Lord of the Rings series. Similar to, I guess you could relate it to how Rogue One in the Star Wars series is a build-up to A New Hope in the trilogy that is the original trilogy of Star Wars. So there's no word on how specific to the time frame it's going to be. I suppose there is a possibility that we see certain characters that are incredibly old, like Gandalf, but it really depends on how big of a time gap there is between this prequel television series and Lord of the Rings, the movie trilogy. So, like I was just discussing before, Amazon has already made comparisons to Game of Thrones regarding the scale in which they'd like to take this show, just like the Netflix's Witcher series aims to do. And the thing about this, now I'm not sure how I feel about this, and you guys let me know in the comments below. They've also mentioned that there will be multiple seasons and the possibility of spin-off series. Their mind is somewhere very far in the future. I suppose I appreciate the confidence on some level that this will be good, but they've already had a deal worked out. They paid $250 million for the rights to create a TV show from the Tolkien estate with imposed restrictions on what they can do within the canon. So there is that. For those of you who are worried that Amazon is just going to take a hot, steamy dump all over the Lord of the Rings universe and water it down and turn it into some cash cow, kind of like just mainstream garbage, obviously that's always a possibility, depending on how the Tolkien estate handles it and how careful they are with this stuff. But Amazon paid $250 million to use it, so they're probably going to have a little bit less restriction than most. This is a huge purchase for them. They put a lot of money into this already, and this isn't even regarding any of the production. This is just what they paid to get the rights to make a TV show. Now, like I said, the Tolkien estate does have some restrictions on what they can do. I'm not sure how tight those restrictions are. I'm not sure if those restrictions are malleable, like if they can continue to impose certain things, if that's within the contract, or if they have a list of things that they set out whenever they gave the rights to Amazon to make this show. If those are the set restrictions that they have, and then Amazon is going to be able to find a way to create holes in this and do what they want with the story, I'm not sure. And I'm not sure if it's just going to be creative restrictions or certain things within not just within the universe, but what they do with the series as a whole. So that there's really not a lot of specification on that, but there are some imposed restrictions by the Tolkien estate, like I said. So there is some control going on here. This isn't just Amazon going balls to the wall with the Lord of the Rings series and they're just going to go crazy, like ridiculous Transformer Michael Bay levels of of stupid with this series, which I don't think that would be a thing regardless, but just as a hypothetical. On top of all of this, the Tolkien Estate and New Line Cinema, who are the producers of the Lord of the Rings trilogy, are involved in some way for the development of the Lord of the Rings series. And also, Amazon has stated that the series will be exploring new stories, which is strange and very vague. Now, the reason that there's a bit of another question on top of this answer is that exploring new stories, what does that mean? Does that mean that these are new stories to the screen? Are we going to be seeing stuff from the Silmarillion by Tolkien, stuff like Unfinished Tales, like different stories within the Middle-earth universe? Or are we going to be seeing entirely new, unique stuff written by the writers of this show in the universe? That's where this is kind of confusing, because they say they're exploring new stories. We don't know if that means they're going off of already established writings from Tolkien, or if they're making up their own stuff, really. Alright, so that's pretty much all the information out there that's somewhat concrete, even though that's not really concrete. It's like kinda like mushy concrete right now. There's not a lot out on it. It's super early production, just to put a staple on that. This isn't almost done or anything like that. This isn't, the writing is probably even super early, the casting isn't done, stuff like that. It's in a very similar stage to the Witcher series, which is again why that point is so so true, is that this is just to slide in right after Game of Thrones. Now, does that mean that these series are going to be bad? No. It just means that there's obviously a cash grab of some sort going on, which is not the greatest grounds to start a show based off of. But again, the production and the companies that want to make these things happen are very different from the writers and the actors and the people who are actually involved in the creation. So don't get it twisted and don't try to mix those things up. The production teams behind it can screw things up, but if they want to make a show that's on the level of Game of Thrones and as loved as Game of Thrones, they are going to have to give the time and the space and get the required people in to make that. So just because it's starting off with this clear slide in to get that money doesn't mean that it's going to end up bad. It's just not the greatest grounds to start off. So anyways, thanks for watching the video. Leave your thoughts below. Do you like that this is happening? Do you not like that this is happening? Who do you want to be involved in the process? And yeah, thanks for watching. Later.